What is up, everybody? Welcome to the After the Ride podcast. This is actually last week's episode, and if you want the newest episode, make sure to join my Patreon. To join, go to patreon.com/DanDanTheFireman. If not, enjoy this one, and all you have to do is wait for next week. I'm actually curious how you came up with Doodle on a motorcycle. Like Doodle, like you doodling, like you drawing?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of where it came from. So I used to do graphic design for my martial arts instructor.
Okay.
And one day I came in with whatever next design project I was working on, and I thought he said, "What do you have for me, Doodle?" And I was like, "Did you just call me Doodle?" And he said, "No, but I will." And after that, everyone at the school called me Doodle. Like I literally didn't hear my name from my closest friends for like years.
Okay.
It just stuck. I guess I don't know, maybe the way
Doodle
I act.
on a motorcycle. That's how it is.
Yeah. And then my real name is Carolyn.
Okay.
Which the only Carolyns I know are all over like 65 and like have tight buns. So I'm like, Carolyn on a motorcycle doesn't sound very accurate.
Okay.
So I just went with my nickname instead.
That's cool. So what like got you into motorcycling though? Because I see that you have it's Doodle like scuba diving, but that kind of went. I'm assuming that went away. But why did you join the motorcycling stuff?
Hard to find time to make videos.
Yeah, scuba diving. That's a lot.
I still want to do that. It's just time.
Okay.
So I'm like, let me just focus on my motorcycle channel, and then maybe one day when I have more time, I'll go back to that.
Okay.
But so how I got into motorcycles.
Yeah.
Let's see. So a few years ago, I was single for like the first time in so long, probably like eight years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I just ended up being like, somehow it just kind of happened where I was like in back-to-back long-term relationships with very little time in between. And I was kind of just doing whatever the guy wanted to do. I was one of those girls, really lame.
That's fine.
And then once I was like single again, I just kind of felt like I really needed to stay single. And there were just so many things that I wanted to try that I didn't because I was just like busy in a relationship, and which I don't think that's the way. I think if you want to do something in your relationship, go do it.
I agree with that.
A good partner will support you. But I hadn't learned that yet. I was still needing to mature. So learning to ride motorcycles was one of the things I had been wanting to try for a while. But yeah, I just tried like a bunch of things that first year. Like I learned photography. I did a bunch of scuba diving, did a lot of traveling, tried some other things that didn't stick, so I can't even remember them now. And motorcycles, I found out you can take the MSF course for one weekend. So I thought that was perfect. I don't have to commit. I don't have to buy a bike. I don't have to do all that stuff. It's just one weekend, everything's supplied, and I can move on with my life. But then I took the class, and I did not want to move on with my life.
There it is,
yeah, I got the bug. I was like, this is my life.
That's cool. How long ago was that? Because I saw a video on your channel. It's like 3 years old, so it must have been like 3+ years ago that you did that.
Yeah, so that was November 2016.
Okay.
Because I had started my channel like within that first year after I took the MSF course. So I think it must have been 2016. So for almost 4 years ago. Is
that something that you wanted to do prior to the relationship ending? And I don't want to bring up relationships and stuff because like you said, do what you want to do. So I mean, the fact that you went out and did it, that's amazing. But like, did you have that inkling of I want to do this, but then I don't know if I should, and then finally, boom, I'm single. Yes, then I get to go out and do it.
I think I think I didn't really think about it when I was in a relationship. Like actually, two of the guys I dated before rode motorcycles, and I rode on the back of one once.
So you were introduced a little bit to it, just a little bit.
But after that I had zero interest, and I never thought about it again for a while. And then like the guy I dated right after that person also rode a motorcycle, and I never rode on the back of his bike. He offered, and I didn't want to. I was like, that doesn't sound fun. But I don't know, for some reason after I was out of all that, it just the idea of it, of trying to do it myself, felt very appealing and exciting and different. Like, it just, for me, riding on the back was not fun.
That's freaky. Yeah. It's honestly scary to be on the bike as a passenger.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
Well, like, I know you introduced your wife, Nikki, to riding.
Yeah.
Did she used to ride on the back with you?
Yeah, she used to ride on the back, and then that was on the Harley. And to make it feel more comfortable, I put a sissy bar on the back, so she was able to lean back. Because I remember being on the back of, I forgot whose motorcycles. It was probably Matt's, my best bud. And I just remember feel like I was gonna fall off, even though I was holding on. So I just kind of knew to release that tension with her to put that on there. But
nice. You were on the back of a guy friend.
Yeah, my buddy Matt. And
you, way to go.
Heck yeah, and
you got confidence.
I just don't care. He's my best friend, and the reason why I kind of brought that up with you and getting on to doing something after a relationship is I got into motorcycling after my first divorce.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've always kind of wanted to from high school, but I never really did it. And then as soon as I got divorced and separated and whatnot, my buddy Matt introduced me to motorcycles, and it was kind of one of those things where, you know what, I've never done it. I just dealt with this crappy thing. Let me go out and try something new. And just like you, I caught the bug, and I absolutely love it. it. So I didn't go crazy like you and scuba dive and try out all these different things. I pretty much just I found the one thing that I really liked and dove into it.
That's probably why you excel as much as you got. Like, you're an instructor now, and you're teaching others, and because you did focus on just one thing.
Yeah, but I mean, there's something to go with scuba diving and trying different things. I mean, you can bring scuba diving stuff to motorcycling and motorcycling to scuba diving stuff. So that's pretty cool. So you've I saw on there that you have you've tried riding many different motorcycles, like a bunch of different motorcycles, and you're also short. That's how I found you. Because I was also looking, it was a while ago. So I don't know if people understand that I shared one of your videos a long time ago on my channel, and we've kind of talked back and forth for a little bit. But the main thing was to find clothes for my wife. You're short, she's short. I was like, what kind of pants are out there? So with your motorcycle stuff, what have you generally found out for a shorter woman or a shorter person, to be quite honest?
Like with gear and riding and all that?
Yeah, because I'm sure there's somebody out there listening right now. It's like, man, I'm not going to wear gear because I can't find any that fits me. So.
Yeah. It was definitely, it took more time, I think, to find something than if I had been 5'10" or 6'1" and a guy. But it's available.
Yeah.
I was eventually able to find pants that fit. They're still really long. I just fold them up and put in my boots.
That works.
Yeah. And so it wasn't impossible, but it just took a while to find some things. And then I had to lower my bike. So that's something that I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
And then some bikes are just too tall for me. I'm not comfortable tiptoeing bikes yet. One of my girlfriends, she's even shorter than me. She's 5'1" and I'm 5'4". And she's the one who introduced me to the Triumph C-Triple-R. She's Kate, Street Fighter ATL on Instagram and YouTube.
Okay.
So she originally had her bike lowered too, and then totaled her bike, got another Street Triple-R, and just left it at stock height and said, I'm just going to try to get used to it. And she said that she has.
Yeah.
She still has to tiptoe it, but she's gotten used to tiptoeing, that she's not at risk of dropping it all the time like I am whenever I'm tiptoeing a bike.
Okay.
So
I have to tiptoe my bike, so I mean.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, FTRs.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'6", so I'm not the tallest guy, but
that's about my dad's height.
Oh, okay, so then you know how tall I am. It's not that tall, but the FTR is pretty tall for somebody my height. Sportster, I could flat foot easily, but the FTR is a little bit crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
so was that hard at first, or have you gotten used to
it? I knew going into it was gonna be like that. I rode the KLR 650, same seat height, and I remember having to tiptoe it, and I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And at the end of the day, you start moving. You don't need to put your foot down. The only time you have to put your foot down is stoplights, and then you learn how to do that. Any massive issues for you on any bikes?
For being short?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to, if I am like stationary, if I'm not on like a perfectly level ground, if I need to like back it up at a slight incline or anything at a slight incline, that's when I can get really clumsy and drop my bike. Or I get like stuck. Like if I try to back up into a space and I don't even notice it. Like the incline is so subtle, you can't see it, but I can feel it.
Yeah.
And I'll need to ask someone to like help me push it back. Although I noticed like when I went moto camping with a bunch of girls a couple weekends, and I noticed that's like a thing, having someone help you back up the bike.
I never knew that. That's a thing to.
Yeah, at least with girl riders,
okay.
It is. Yeah, they were just doing it for each other left and right, like without anyone like saying, "Hey, can someone help?" It was just like. Right away, another girl was there as a girl was trying to back up and.
Well, see that's why I need to talk to you on a podcast, because like I have no clue about some of that stuff.
The girl world.
It's the girl world. My wife, she did Babes Right Out. Not this last year, but the year before that.
Nice.
Is kind of like what you did. You just said a Campout type thing. Was that just for fun, like just random, or was that like a legit like event meetup thing?
It was actually, I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to get tickets, and as of like 2 days ago, they were almost sold out. So I hope they're not sold out.
Oh wow.
It's called No Man's Land.
Okay.
And it's the concept is like Babes Ride Out. So it's a bunch of girl riders going to go camping for like 2 weekends. And this year, it's going to be in North Carolina on Tail of the Dragon. But it's a lot smaller. They cap it at like 40 or 50 girls.
Oh wow, that's a lot smaller than Babes Right Out. No wonder they're selling out quick.
Yeah, it's very small. So they do that because I think they say that they want it to be possible to like talk to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went, I'm not so social that I can talk to everybody. I'll stick with like three girls.
I think they maybe at 40 they purpose to get you. If you're gonna try to talk to 3 girls, there's gonna be like the other 37 that are gonna grab you and be like, no, you're talking to me type thing. How does that go? How does that go with the camping? Like, do you like to moto camp a lot?
No, I wish I did. Just because I watch like some adventure riders on YouTube who do with envy, like As a Magpie Flies.
She does great stuff. I love her art. Her art's amazing.
Oh yeah, gorgeous art too.
Yeah.
So I tried. If I do more moto camping, it will probably be for just like events. Just because I really like a good night's sleep on a comfy bed and no bugs and not being hot at night.
It's hard to camp on a motorcycle.
Yeah. And that weekend was a lot of fun, but I slept terribly, and I stunk so bad. We all stunk after that weekend. I couldn't shower for 2 days in the summer.
Yeah, that's true.
I had body wipes that were like scented with pomegranate, but still I tried.
I saw. Was that the weekend that your luggage fell down and got?
Yes.
Okay. So explain that to everybody what happened on that one?
Oh, that was so.
Your sleeping bag got tore up, right?
Yeah, it's gone. It's melted, fused together. So I just kept it for a while just for like the sake of being able to look at it, because I've never seen something like that before. But then Marie Kondo taught me just let it go.
Yeah.
So I threw it away. So my plan was to do a bunch of research about proper motorcycle packing. But somehow I just got so busy that before I realized it was like a few days before, and I like watched a couple of videos real fast, and I couldn't find anything that was like for my bike, and also just like a bunch of random stuff. Like most things like online have like saddlebags, and I was like, you know what? It'll be fine. I'll just wing it.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Okay.
As soon as I got on the highway, everything just like zoom, right into
Oh
me.
yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, and I could like feel I thought it was actually something wrong with my bike at first because all of a sudden my speed just like plummeted, and I was like trying to accelerate and it was barely going. I was like, what is going on? And I just like put my hand back to see, and I realized nothing was there anymore. So I pulled over, and it was lodged in all so tight. My boyfriend had to come and help me pull it out. I had to hold my bike as he pulled it in the other direction because when he started pulling it, it was like rolling the bike. It was stuck.
Wow.
Hard. But once that was out, I was fine. One of the girls that was driving picked up my stuff, and I was still able to ride my bike. My bike was fine. It just had a little melted plastic on it, some parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay.
Luckily that didn't turn into something like bad, like bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that could have been bad.
Melted stuff. And so is this the I don't want to get you in trouble if it's not. Is this the same boyfriend that turned into your fiance?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, if I have to, I'll cut that out. And I was like, I don't know.
No
well,
worries.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you. No worries. I like to mess with him a lot. So sometimes if I say something he doesn't remember, I'm like, oh, sorry, different guy.
Oh, it was a different guy.
Yeah, it's usually not the case. I'm just messing with him.
Well, that's awesome. Congrats. Does he ride?
He doesn't. He used to ride. He wasn't into it when we first started dating. Okay. But he was interested. And then
you're doing it now. You're flipping it. It was they introduced you. Now you're gonna like get him in there.
I know, changing things.
Yeah.
And so we were friends, and he was just interested in it. And then he started riding, and then we started dating. That timeline was probably planned on his part.
We're not that smart. We don't plan anything. It just happens.
Okay.
So
just coincidental. Yeah. It just worked out that way. And then after about 6 or 8 months or so, he just decided it wasn't for him.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really bummed at first. I was like, this is my riding buddy. Yeah. But then I realized, you know what? I still love it. I still have a great time with it. And I've got girlfriends who ride. So it's more of a girls' night for me when I ride.
Very cool. Did you meet all those girlfriends from riding, or did you have them before riding?
No, all from riding.
Very cool.
Yeah, I didn't have a single riding friend before I started riding.
Okay.
That's actually why I started YouTube, because I was just like, I got no one to talk to about this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. The same thing with me. All I had was Matt, which is enough. But, yeah, I just started making videos, and now all of a sudden there's this huge community. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a lot of them some of the girls I know I've found like through YouTube. Like it was like we started following each other on Instagram, and they messaged me and were like, hey, I follow your YouTube videos. Want to ride? Or sometimes I would say like, hey, you're a girl and you ride. Want to meet up and ride? And so I've made a couple friends that way. Like, well, we knew each other first through YouTube or Instagram. And yeah, so
that's really cool. I met pretty much everybody here in Tucson that rides. I met through YouTube. I mean, I moved here from Yuma, Arizona, and I didn't know anybody other than from work and then YouTube. So I mean, it was really cool. It was really cool to meet people, and I think the motorcycle community is very, very open and inclusive in that way. Especially if you are like focused on something. Like if I'm focused on safety, I'm gonna find safety oriented motorcyclists, which now I ride with them, and I like it instead of finding hooligans and stuff. So I'm assuming for you, I never want to,
Yeah, same.
Okay, there you go. So you found people.
I would love to be able to wheelie, but I don't know how, and I don't want to do it illegally.
Yeah. So you found people that are just like you then.
Yeah, pretty much. And if they're not, no, I'm pretty sure that all the girls I know who ride, and the people who ride, they are safe riders too.
Very good.
Some I actually haven't ridden with. Some I've just like hung out with, and we both ride.
Yeah. That's another cool thing. It's like I'll go to these little meetup spots, and then I won't ride the group ride. I'll just meet up and hang out with them for a little bit, and then I'll take off and go home because I have other stuff. But it's a really cool icebreaker to be like, hey, we ride motorcycles.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's awesome. It really is. Yeah.
I'm getting the sense that you are probably more reserved and introverted in person.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I kind of gathered that.
Yeah, I definitely am.
It wasn't obvious. It was just I was just looking for it. I was trying to figure you out. So
well, if you notice my eyes, like I look at, I got a screen right here. So I got me, and then I got you, and then there's the camera. I should be looking at this, but I have this aversion of eye contact
Thanks
sometimes.
a lot.
I was so used to looking at patients in the eyes and talking to them. And I do that in person, but on the camera, or like on camera, it's like, it's very hard for me to look at the camera, because it's like, you're right here.
Oh yeah, I realize I'm not doing that either. I've been looking at your face on the screen.
No, it looks perfect. It's fine. But for me, it's like the camera's way too high. So yeah, for those of you listening to on Spotify and all that stuff, there's YouTube also. So
he's avoiding eye contact. He's like, dang it, why did I interview this girl? So icebreaker. So I bet for you, like for me too, it really helps to go past that like first initial shy stage and just get into a comfortable conversation. Yeah,
the way I kind of think of it is like, I'm in elementary school. I'm going to a class. The only thing we have in common is the homeroom teacher. I'm going to meet this kid, as a kid, and be like, hey, what's up? This teacher sucks. Yeah, okay, what's your name? Just kind of like that. So I'll do a demo event or a bike event and be like, hey, man, I saw that you rode on this, or we're riding this. Okay, what's your name? It's so easy to do that, and I think a lot of people are scared to do that. And and it's one really big thing that I like about those 40 girl campouts or Babe Ride Out or any of those things. It's like, hey, come on, let's hang out. It's not that big of a deal. It's motorcycle related, so you don't have to be like, here's my special talent, come like me. It's like, we're all gonna hang out and relax, and that's what I really like. And Nikki had a great time at Babes Ride Out.
That's awesome.
You ever plan on doing one of those, like a big like Babes Ride Out type thing?
Yeah, I would love to. I looked for them for their last event. I know last year, I think it was in California, or it was, or when it was here, it was dirt bike only, and I hadn't ridden dirt yet. And I think though you could have come as like a new and like taking classes, but I think I had too much going on at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out on it for sure. I try to keep an eye out to see if I can make the next ones, and I would like to do it.
Very cool.
Even though I don't like camping, I would camp for a bunch of girls.
They might have showers, because I heard the bigger ones have like a bunch of stuff. Like when she came,
working showers.
Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to ask her. She did say that like they had like a tattoo artist. They had all these other cool things out there. She got a tattoo while she was there.
Does she have a video on this?
No. I think she talked about it. She did talk about it. But I mean, Pink was there. There was like a bunch of people there. So I'm assuming they have some facilities. So I think you should try that out if you don't want to be all stinky for a whole weekend.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I may put up with being stinky for like a bunch of girl riders, but I'd rather not. So that's great.
Yeah.
If I don't have to.
So how are you doing on, I mean, I got this right here. It's the Ride Like a Pro thing. I remember you did that. You did that. How was that? You sat on a big motorcycle and you were doing figure eights and U-turns like a pro. Like, how did that feel?
You.
No, I was really impressed.
Thank you. It felt so amazing, and I couldn't believe I could do it. But yeah, just like especially when I was with Jerry, his the way he gives feedback is just like clicks for me really well. Okay. So when I was getting it from him in real time, it helped so much more than just like when I was trying to watch his videos. But yeah, that was, I really didn't believe I'd be able to do that. And the trick is to keep practicing. And I haven't been practicing last year as of like pretty much almost all last year. So I don't know how I'm at right now. I'm really worried to try. But I got really like, I don't know what it was, but for some reason on my bike, I wasn't able to do all those exercises accurately. I was able to get it on my Suzuki S40 Boulevard. I was able to get it on his Harley Sportster. I was able to get it on his Electric Glide. But something with my bike, I think I just got so nervous of dropping it for some reason.
Just your bike though, not the big ass bike. You weren't nervous about that?
Yeah, not because he had like wide crash guards. And I was like, and I just kept thinking, I don't have wide crash guards, and I've already broken the clutch lever like 4 times. Oh no. It's still broken right now. I'm like, I'm not gonna fix it until I'm like later, maybe later. But yeah, I could feel myself like in class. I could hear the instructor say, "Turn the handlebars more," and I'd say, "Okay," and then I could feel my body not doing it. So I still need to work on it on my own bike, and then I want to keep practicing on it, but. and make sure I can still do it.
Yeah. How many bikes do you have? You made it sound like you
right now just one.
Okay.
No, I've only had one at a time, but I change frequently, I guess, when I first started. I do not go through bikes the way I go through boys or vice versa. For some reason, I felt like that might have been on some people's minds.
No, I saw that you posted like, my 10 bikes I've ridden type thing. And I was like, you've had that many bikes?
I wish that'd be nice. But no, so my first bike, I had the Suzuki S40 for a year. And then I test rode Kate's bike, which is a Triumph Street Triple R, and thought I gotta upgrade. I need to get this bike, but I'm not a sport bike girl, so let me get something else. And I got a Triumph Bonneville, and then I was struggling with the top, it was top heavy. So then that whole year that I had the Triumph Bonneville, I just test rode as many bikes as I could, and then eventually went back to the Triumph Street Triple R and said, okay, fine. I guess I am a sport bike girl.
That takes a lot of dedication to go from a bike that maybe you don't like to keep trying to find the bike. So you really got that bug. You got that motorcycling bug. You're like, I'm going to find something.
Hey, I did. It's so addicting. I can't stop.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. The videos that you've been posting lately have been about like, tips and helping people out, and then some comedy stuff. I saw some fun comedy stuff. Is that kind of like where you typically go? Like you go towards the comedy? Like I don't personally know you as a person, so I mean, like, are you constantly the comedic person or?
I don't think so.
No?
I think I'd like to be. I think I'm more silly than comedic and witty.
It's the same thing. It's the same.
I would thanks. But no, not really. And I think like the videos of me like trying to be funny like that, they didn't do great. Like they did okay. Like actually the videos that I've done the best for me have been ones where I kind of like tell my own personal story, and maybe it's kind of embarrassing because it's like just more honest, or it's like talking about a struggle or something negative. Like, so those have done better for me. So I'm still trying out different things, but I'm not sure quite which direction I'll keep going. I may just keep trying a few things.
Well, what is it that you absolutely like to do? I mean, doodling. So I'm assuming you have some type of art background.
I do. Yeah. I used to draw a lot more, but now that I work as a designer, I barely draw anymore. Yeah, I used to draw in a sketchbook like every day. But now that I work full time as a designer, I haven't drawn in years.
So full time as a designer, huh? Like, what do you design? I have no idea. Like, I'm just asking. I have no clue what designing is.
I never. I don't think I ever share. I may have mentioned it in like a live stream on someone else's channel once or twice. So I design home decor products.
Okay.
So like pillows, mugs, picture frames, throws, stuff like that.
Like you draw out like what a picture frame looks like and what a mug looks like with the design on it, or just okay.
So we'll do that like in Photoshop or Illustrator. So I won't like sketch it out manually. So I guess that sense is more like industrial design. But then sometimes I will do more illustrative stuff. Like I might design or draw like a pattern and kind of paint it in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Or some artwork, and we might use that on different products.
Do you include that into your motorcycle stuff? Do you draw like your motorcycle, make like thumbnails that are super crazy, anything like that?
I guess I do try to incorporate like like a good graphic design into my motorcycle stuff. And I have designed some like T-shirts that I sell on Teespring. That are really simple though, like really simple like graphic design stuff. So not like as illustrative and like as the magpie flies kind of her artwork. So I haven't done stuff like that in a long time.
Okay. Is that something you want to get back into?
I haven't thought about it.
Not really.
Much.
No. Okay.
No, when I've said that in front of my sister. I've said how I just haven't drawn in years now that I work in it, and she goes, "That makes me so sad. You used to draw me like little booklets and all this stuff," and I was like, I mean, I just don't think about it much. I mean,
okay.
I get a creative outlet at work, and then I get a fun outlet with motorcycles, and I think though if I had more free time and I was less tired all the time from all the chores and work.
Yeah, I know.
I would.
I understand that. I understand that. I've literally been in this. Huh?
And you're a dad and
yes. I have like.
I should not be complaining about
no,
you.
No, you're good. I've been sitting in this office all day. So I mean, I do motorcycling stuff for work, and it's also for fun. But now I'm starting to find that editing is more fun than writing for me.
That is so funny.
Yeah, so I just because you get to express that creative outlet. The stress release is the motorcycle riding, but my creativity that really makes my brain work in the way I want it to work is with the editing, and then doing this, like having a conversation and just kind of learning. Like I'm learning from you in how quite possibly maybe something could be an issue with my wife with writing, like the short and some of the issues that she might have, but she also won't tell me, you know.
She won't tell you?
Well, she won't tell me everything. Like it won't be like I'm having an issue with my U-turn or backing up. It's more so I want to do it myself, which is great. But if I ask somebody else, then I'll get an insight on that. And then vice versa. Like when I edit this, I'll learn like, oh, is that how I talk and I ask questions and stuff? And then I'll learn how to become better. So constantly doing this makes me better, and it's something that I really enjoy. So that's why I wanted you on here, because I remember a long time ago, your videos that I shared, and it was about the review of, I believe it was the white and red bike you had at the time. I forgot which one it was, but you did a review on it. I shared it, and it was really interesting.
Oh, I thought you shared that one too.
Yeah,
thank you.
I share quite a bit of people's stuff, if it's good, as long as it's good.
That's such a compliment. Oh.
But I wanted to do that so that, I mean, I learned something from it, whether it's a little bit or a lot. I learned something from it, so I'm constantly doing that. So I want to learn more about your doodling. I want to learn more about your scuba diving and why you got into it and all that stuff. So it's pretty interesting.
Cool.
Because we kind of still have the same thing. You know, you became single. I became single. We both got into motorcycling, so I could see how you wanted to do that. Why did you want to do the camp out though? Like, what got you? It's like, you know, I'm going to do the camp out. What caused you to do that?
I think that was more for being around other girl riders. And also I didn't know how much I disliked camping until after that weekend.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's just so few girl riders around, and if you can meet some of them, and especially if you can spend enough time around each other that you become friends, it's like just such a good friendship to have someone where you can share that with.
Yeah, definitely. What are some of why do you think that there's not a lot of women riders out there? That's a tough one.
I'll have to think about it.
Okay. What are some of the major complaints though, like at the campout? Like, because I'm all like, hey, you know, tell me I'm the guy that wants to know what all the women were talking about. No, it's not. That's not it.
Talk about boys.
No, no, it's like I'm super interesting because my demographic that watches this, like my stuff, is 95% male. So I mean 5% women.
You know what's ridiculous? What's crazy is that's about my demographic too.
Really, I was expecting maybe 50-50 or maybe 75. 25. Wow.
I know, or I thought maybe at least 80-20, because I think the stats on male to women ratio at least in the US is like 80-20.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if you knew, but like before I was very focused on with my channel trying to make everything like look good and trying to make sure my hair and makeup was done, and I had on like a spaghetti strap tank top, and then I realized I am not enjoying this. I am not enjoying my community. I'm just going to be myself. And if I'm wearing a sweater, I'm going to wear a sweater. If my hair is greasy,
I'm wearing a hoodie. So
oh, that is so not flattering, Dan.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I thought when I did that switch that I would get more girls, but it actually went the opposite way. I got even higher percentage of males than women. Once I quit trying so hard with all that shallow stuff, there were more of them.
So the women, and I don't want to be, see, this is the part where I'm like, man, what am I talking about? I have no idea about women riders. That's the thing, is I have zero clue. And I want to learn more, because I want to know why it's only 80-20, roughly. Because this is not a sport or hobby or whatever you want to call it that's men only. I've seen some amazing women riders out there that just demolish men. So at the end of the day, it's a human thing. So I'm just trying to figure out why mine's only 95.5 when it's safety. It has nothing to do with men. Nothing to do with men. It's just safety. So I think, go ahead.
I think too, and part of it may be that, if I remember correctly, that the viewership on YouTube in general is heavier men than women. I think that's right. But I think also why maybe there just aren't more women riders is because it's just newer for women to be doing what the boys do too.
Oh, okay.
like my parents' generation, it's so bizarre. Like it's even less women doing it. It's just what's not traditional or standard. For, at least I think about like my parents' generation. My parents are like 60 years old. For them, it was much more common for women to be in traditional roles.
Yeah.
And now it's with like people. I'm 30, so I think now it's like people like our age.
Yeah, I'm 32. Don't worry.
30 as well, or 32?
32.
32.
Oh yeah, 32. Yeah, okay. I get it.
So I think like with people like our age, it's more common for girls to be doing the kind of things that guys do as well. But it's still like just not as common.
Yeah. I've kind of noticed that.
I get called a tomboy for doing that. As opposed to it not even being something that you think about, or, like that you think, like girls don't get called something for like cooking or,
that's true.
Or shopping. So no one's like, oh, you're such a girly girl. Look at you in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You don't really think
the tomboy
about it.
thing, I never really thought of that. See, that's the thing, is like my perspective and view is as a male, riding a motorcycle, but also as a coach, and I just want to understand, I just want to figure out, I want to learn. Like, it's quite literally, I can't relate to what you do because you're a different person. But I'm just so curious about all these different reasons of why. And I just never really understood it. Never understood it. Cause anybody could do this. Anybody can do this. Yeah, I've noticed the older generation, like you said, they mainly sit on the back of the bike, and it's the man that rides. I have noticed that more women have got up and started to ride, especially with these bigger shows like the International Motorcycle Show with Progressive. They'll have like an intro to riding, and I've seen it's all women. Like, it's just women doing it. Yeah. And I don't think they say no men can do it. I think they literally say anybody can do it, and it's mostly women. So I try to put two and two together. I'm trying to think of like, okay, well, why is that the case? But then when I do an MSF class, maybe 5 to 10% of it is women. So like, what's the disconnect here? And I think a lot of it might have to do with it's more of like an open like area, and there's no real testing procedure. There's just have fun type of feel. And I'm trying to figure out if that's the driving motivation for women, because I know men are like, man, I want to go fast and I want to do stupid shit, just stuff like that. But then that's fun, but it's like there's a number attached to it or a step attached to it. And then when I see this, it's like, oh, we're just having fun. Okay, I'll do it. Screw it.
Yeah.
So like, I'm trying to figure that out. I don't know if that's clicking with you or anything, like if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I'll like our theories for you as to why it's not. And I think it's just because it's just not as common. It's not something you really think about. Like, I mean, I never really considered, even thought about. It wasn't like I thought about riding motorcycles, and then I said no. It was like I didn't think about it because I didn't see anyone else doing it that was a girl. I just wasn't around it.
Okay.
But then once I thought about it, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and then I tried it, and then I was hooked.
Okay.
The thing is just we're just not around. A lot of girls aren't around it as much.
Like an exposure type thing. Like
yeah.
Okay.
So
that makes some sense. Because I mean, you and I got into it for around the same like reasons. Like just I wanted to try it. You know, I'm single now. Screw it, let's do it. And then it worked. So I mean, I'm trying to figure out all these different. That's just my brain going. Sorry, I'm all taken over. I'm like, you know what? Why are women not doing this and that? That at the end of the day.
No, I think the why is the most interesting part.
Good. Okay, I'm not bothering you then.
And you know, too, on that note, is whenever I've talked to guys who ride, they often ask me. They want to know like specs.
Yeah.
They want to know.
Okay.
What's your torque? How fast did you go on that track day?
I don't even know that, and they don't even know that. They're just saying that shit. Nobody knows. Nobody knows that, and if they do, it's because they read it from on the side. If it says R3, they're like, okay, that must be a 300. Okay, what's your? No, I'm talking out of my ass.
That's hilarious. That's what I'm going to say next time someone asks me, how fast did you go on that track day? Or what's your torque? I'm saying, I don't know. Do you?
Do you know? Yeah.
Do you even know? But that's what I noticed. Guy conversations, and then whenever I've talked to girls about it, we often ask like, "How did you get into it?
See,
Why do you ride?
yeah.
You love to ride."
Yeah. So the feeling of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So please expand on that conversation you had at the campout where I'm not supposed to hear because it's all girls only.
Sorry, no boys allowed.
Okay,
no, I'm just kidding. Which conversation?
No, just I'm sure you have those conversations with the other women. It's like, you know, why you got into it, and then you know the feeling of it. Because men are like, you know, what size engine is that? Like people ask me how many horsepower does my FTR have, and the only reason why I know is because I've been asked that so many times that I looked it up afterwards. I'm like, okay, 120, I guess, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I have no clue what my torque is.
Yeah, so it really doesn't matter, and I bring up for beginners because that's what I noticed too is beginners they want to get into it, but then they're so inundated with that information of like, do I have to know the CCs? What's this? And then I just tell people, get on a bike, and if it feels good to you, there you go, and just continue on. So maybe I need to continue doing that because that's how I guess women react to it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see. But one thing I did notice with Nikki when she was doing her thing, those videos would get comments from women saying they would run into the same issues, like for filling up the gas tank. I never thought that was a big issue until she asked me, my wife asked me, she's like, how do I do it the right way? And it just went over my head. It's like, I didn't know. I honestly thought that was a normal thing.
Gas on the tank?
Yeah.
And then that was a whole thing for me to learn too.
Yeah, so I never had that problem. I don't know why. I'm not saying it's like because I
tip it and be careful. You just knew to like tip it and not to avoid the drip.
I knew a lot of that stuff just maybe because of my work, you know, as a firefighter and all that stuff, having to fill up as many cans and chainsaws as I had to. But I never really thought of that. And the comments on those videos were from women saying, I've been waiting for somebody to make this video, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what the heck?
What video? Which video are you talking about?
That was how to fill up your gas tank.
Oh, and that's funny.
Yeah, that was really weird. I never thought of that.
I needed to learn that too. It was a struggle. I don't remember how. I think someone like told me, or I think I realized I kept spilling it all over my poor little tank.
Is there anything else that outside of
any other struggles?
Yeah, any other struggles that
yeah, I'm sure I can think of some. Yeah, I did learn like a good way to back up your bike. You know, I was talking about earlier when how difficult that can be.
Yeah.
And I did learn a way. Cherry Bee on YouTube. She doesn't post videos anymore, but she had a really good one about like short trips, short tricks and tips for riders. And one of the things she showed was how to back up your bike if you're short, and how to do it. Like basically you get off the bike and you lean it against your hip and then back it up that way. So that is how I back up my bike now on an incline when I can't do it sitting on it.
Okay.
So that was a struggle, the backing up the bike. Um, uh, Probably not a struggle, but just something that comes up a lot. Are people asking you like, do you ride with your boyfriend? Is it because your boyfriend rides?
I never see. That's the thing is, I never get that question. Does my wife ride or anything?
No one asked you.
Well,
if
not
you
the
ride
boyfriend thing, but like nobody asked that. That's so weird.
Nobody's like, did your wife get you into riding?
Yeah. Nobody ever. See, that's.
Yeah.
I did not want this podcast to turn into like a male female gender thing, but
But it's kind of funny though.
It is funny. It is funny, and I've probably drove the conversation that way because that's just something that I want to learn from others, and you do have other unique traits outside of being a female. So I mean, that's why I brought up the doodling and the scuba diving, and then why you did all that stuff, and that's what I'm interested in too. And I learned from that. That's why, I'm like, well, why did you bring any of that, your creative art from work basically to YouTube? But I'm just super excited to listen or to hear more about like your future camping and your scuba diving and any struggles that you're overcoming on motorcycling, because I think a lot of people want to hear that. They definitely want to hear that.
Yeah, I think probably another thing I can think of now is our upper body strength not being as much as like a guy's. So we do need to learn the proper technique of how to lift a bike up, because if you don't have the technique right, you can't do it with some bikes. Like my current bike, the last time I dropped it, I couldn't pick it up because I didn't have so my bike is 401 pounds. And I've picked up heavier when I've had someone telling me where to put my hand, where to put my waist, everything, all the details to get it right. And then as I was trying to lift it by myself, I realized I wasn't getting all the details right, and I wasn't able to lift my bike up that proper way. So like someone had to help me. So I think girls may need that too. Is we need to get our skills in that much more honed in, because some things we can't make up for with strength. And then maybe another thing, now at the risk of sounding sexist,
that's fine.
I had no interest. I had no interest in cars, and I'd never driven like a manual or anything like that before I started riding. And everything I knew about maintenance, for like cars, I didn't. I just had a light that would come on in my car and it would say, change this, do this, do this. So I didn't know any of that stuff instinctively. But I noticed like my boyfriend knew all of that instinctively without needing to read his manual when he first had a bike. So he knew like he had to check oil, make sure the oil levels are good, the brake levels are good, all that stuff that I only know now because I've read my manual multiple times to learn that. But he knew it because he's obsessed with cars and he likes to work on his own car because he wants to know how to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he drives a manual car too. So he had like a concept of when to switch gears and all that stuff. And I didn't. I had to.
You had to learn that through just doing it, like just.
Yeah, doing it and studying it.
Yeah,
and actually like studying it too, because it's not instinctive. At least it wasn't for me.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is not instinctive for me either. So don't worry. That's definitely not a sexist thing. That it's literally like I didn't know anything about motorcycles either, and I had to figure it out. And then there was times where like, oh crap, I've been riding around like this whole time when I should have done this, and it's like, ooh, I'm so glad nothing bad happened. So you start to learn that.
I've had a lot of those.
Yeah, so see, I know what you're talking about. It's what you don't know that you keep doing that causes a problem. I'm still in that spot. There's a lot of mechanical stuff that I'm just like, I know I'm screwing it up. I'm not going to do it. But that whole exposure thing, I totally agree. Like if I don't know, just pick anybody's name. I don't want to keep saying my wife's name because I don't want her to get mad at this one, but like same thing though. I mean, same thing. It's like I'm having to explain, okay, we got to do your oil, we got to lube your chain, we got to do this, and she doesn't know. But then again, like 2 years ago, I didn't know. Like I didn't know. Like, well, I mean, I knew how to change my oil and all that, but I mean, like the chain stuff, I've never had a chain driven motorcycle until recently. So I didn't know how to lube it. I didn't know how to do all that. So I had to look at the service manual. I had to do all that stuff too. So I think when people see a man riding a motorcycle or doing something, talking about it, that's why I say they're either bullshitting you, because they're like, because I want to think that they're bullshitting because I want them to think they're in my spot, or they absolutely know because they've grown up with it. So it's either bullshit or they grown up with it, or they just barely found out. You know, it's one of those things. That's why when the people bring up the CCs or how much torque you have, it's like, come on, that's on the spec sheet at the dealership. I think you just looked at it, or you're guessing.
That's like, how much you live, bro?
Yeah. There's, oh my gosh, that's exactly it. But the whole why on that, and I think about that is, it is like a macho thing, but I think that might be I'm assuming it might be like a turnoff for women to get into motorcycling, because it's this whole, I have to know all this crap. I just want to ride a motorcycle and have fun on the motorcycle instead of having to understand torque and all this stuff, which, I mean, you should understand how to lube your chain and change your oil. But that once, like you just said, I read the manual multiple times. I figured it out. So the barrier to entry, you don't need to know all that. Huh?
What's that?
I was saying the barrier to entry into motorcycling, you don't have to know how to lube your chain and do all that other crap. Just start riding and then figure it out while you're doing it.
Yeah. So. Sorry, my computer was dinging at you.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
But yeah, and when I first started riding, I remember just skipping maintenance and all that stuff because I was like, it's so overwhelming. I'll just do it later. But that ended up being really detrimental. Because I didn't know about like proper how to take care of, like, it ended up, my first bike, my engine seized because the oil level was gone because I never checked it. Yeah.
Were you riding?
I was riding a lot that first year, every weekend I could. Suzuki, Japanese made bikes, they're just so reliable so it literally had no problem until the day it died. And it was destroyed though. The engine was destroyed because it was completely dried up. And I just had no clue at that time, like, oh, cars, bikes, whatever, they need oil replaced, they need oil checked. And now I know, because now that happened, and because I've made sure now I read my manual more than once so that I remember and anything I like miss, I read it again and I can see it that time.
Okay. That would suck if it seized. I mean, were you riding at the time and it's like seized up?
I was on the highway and it just like shut off, and I was like, that's so strange.
Oh, wow.
That had happened before when I had run out of gas. Because on my first bike, you could switch it to reserve, and there wasn't a fuel gauge. You just had to know how many miles you've done. So I thought maybe it had been that, but I can't remember what was different that made me think it wasn't that. But I took it to a shop, and they were able to see what the problem was.
Yeah, they're like your engine seized. Sorry. There's
idiot. Yeah.
They're all asking you like, how much horsepower did this thing have? The torque?
Not a lot. One cylinder.
Well, you learned then after that. You definitely learned after that.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. I had to learn that way, and like on YouTube too.
It was on YouTube?
Yes, because I posted a video of like, I don't know what's wrong with my bike.
Well, here's the thing
and I found out, so I updated everyone.
Yeah, I posted when my clutch blew up in my Sportster. Like I put like, this is what it sounds. Huh?
Doing slow speed skills?
No, it was I was on my way back from the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, I believe 2017-ish, whatever, something like that. And I was on my way back, and I just lost power, absolutely lost power. And I was getting like scared. I was like, oh crap, my Sportster is like my job type thing. And I made it home like in first gear in the hills. Like I had no power, and it was scary. And so I got home and I was looking through everything, and I figured out it was the clutch. The clutch just blew up. The inside of the transmission, all that stuff blew up. But I posted that video, like I was recording at the time, and I posted it and I was like, this is what it sounds like when your clutch blows up. And now that I know, but during the video, I was like, what the hell's going on? And this and this and this. And I got a lot of shit for that. They're like, what, you didn't know that the clutch blew up? I'm like, no, I didn't. That's why I posted this. I didn't know. So hopefully somebody else can see it. So don't feel bad about posting like your engine seizing and I should have known better. It's like I posted my clutch blowing up and I should have known better. I mean, it was nothing that I did.
You know how that happens? It just kind of happens.
Yeah, Sportsters have a clutch that typically blows up around 30,000 miles, and I was at 27.
So interesting. That's like it's consistent.
I did not know that. That's the thing. A lot of people are like, "What? You didn't know that?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't know that. I didn't expect my clutch to blow up within 30,000 miles." So
no, sorry, I don't know 100% of everything.
Yeah, and then you're told that you're an idiot. So it's just whatever.
I was actually surprised I didn't get more hate than I did for what I did with my bike.
Really?
I got some for sure, but not much. And maybe it's because like I was practically crying in my video when I said what happened to the bike.
I should have cried.
Yeah, you should have cried. See, that's all you got to do. That's another thing girls have on guys.
Oh my gosh.
No, I wasn't like tears coming down, but I think my eyes were a little water, and I think people would tell, and I was like, it was not my fault. I mean, there's no one else to blame but me. Yeah. So I think that's part of it.
Then you got a new motorcycle, so.
What's that?
Then you got a new motorcycle, so it's all good.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I
think it seems like when you just confess something or like take the blame, people don't usually argue back. They're not usually like, yeah, you're right, it is your fault. They're like, well, it's okay. Don't be sad.
You'd be surprised. There's some people out there that will do that. It's called click hide user from channel.
Oh, so, yeah. I block a lot.
I've had to do that for that type of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I block a lot mercilessly.
Don't even care. Don't even care.
No, I don't. So, even if it's not that bad, I'm like, I don't want to see this kind of comment again. So, bye, Felicia.
Are you planning on scuba diving though this year? You said you want to make time for it. Are you?
Probably not this year because I just came back from a big scuba trip in Cozumel. I was there for a week. That's actually where my boyfriend proposed.
Oh yeah, I saw the picture. You guys, there was a lot of water involved, so I was like, oh okay, so scuba diving. There you go. 2 and 2 makes. There you go.
Yeah. So that was a big trip. So this year I probably won't do another big one. I might do like a weekend one, that like in the Florida Keys.
Okay.
But for now, I'll need to save up some before I do another big scuba trip.
So that you started scuba diving and motorcycling around the same time. So that was one of those things that stayed with you then after becoming a single.
Actually, I got scuba certified a few years before but I didn't do any scuba diving because I was one of those pushover girls, and I was dating a guy who
don't go scuba diving. Don't go scuba diving.
Actually, no, this gets worse. I was dating a guy who was still in school, so I was like paying for everything for him. And I was like, I don't want to pay for a scuba trip for him too, so I'm not gonna go scuba diving while we're dating. And then just before I knew it, years had passed, and I hadn't gone scuba diving with the certification I had. So when I was single, and that same time that I learned to ride motorcycles, that year I did a bunch of scuba diving.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Now you're still doing it. So that's really cool. That's really cool. I'd like to see more of that scuba diving stuff. I mean, I that's something that's so unique.
Really want to.
Huh?
I said I know. I really need to.
Yeah, you should.
I'd really need to find time to make those videos.
No, but I think your videos are doing really well. When I see them, you post like every so often, but the views are really good for the size of a channel, basically. So I think you're resonating with people when it comes to that, just sharing a personal story. I think sharing there is something to do with storytelling, and so really you must be grabbing some people with that. Just keep doing that. Keep doing that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I it's crazy because I wouldn't think that would be it, especially because I don't think my story is that unique or special. Like, it's like many others. It's like your story. Yeah. Maybe that's why it does well, because other people are like, hey, me too.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Other people are like, oh, yeah, that happened to me. And then they can relate to you with that. And if they can't relate to you, now they're still listening to an awesome story. So that's the way it works on YouTube and podcasts and all that stuff. Just having a story.
Yeah.
Cool. Very nice.
Cool.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of the podcast
Thank you
and
so much for having me. I feel so special to be on here.
well, I'm glad you're able to be here and share with us what you've been through and how you learned and your own journey. That's basically what this is all about, trying to figure that out with other people.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for having me. You've got great content, great videos, great personality, big heart.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate it.
Great to be growing and
cool
and everything. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much. I'll be seeing you around.
Dan.